Hey, everybody. Welcome back to, of course, the best movie podcast you could ever be a part of this week in Geek. This week, we're talking House of the Dragons. Is this the best TV show currently on right now? I'm very happy to be here. Ren will be joining us in just a second. He's running into some, fun little delays. But other than that, we're going to have some fun doing this. And I'm very excited to have you guys along for the ride. So thanks so much for tuning in. Make sure to hit like, subscribe if you're new. And what we do with every time we start one of these podcasts is we always do our weekly ranking. Now, last week I was not able to join, so I'm going to do a little bit of mine from last week because I didn't watch too many movies this week personally, and one of the movies I've watched, the embargo is still up. I can talk social media wise, I just can't talk review wise, so I'm not going to include it in my normal ranking. So coming in down at the bottom for my weekly ranking is Blonde. I did not like this movie. The more and more I sit on it, the less and less I like it. Feels a little bit disrespectful to everything that happens to be about Marilyn Monroe. Ana de Armas is incredible in the role, and I do think there is some really good, technological, really much beauties to it. Cinematography is really good at times. The problem with the movie is it's too long. There's no levity to it, and I understand the purpose. I understand what the director was trying to do. It just didn't feel like it was needed. This is an icon who we've already learned a lot of this about, so now we're just showing like a horror story of hers. And again, I get it, but I don't think it was needed at all. And sometimes there's movies like this that you watch and you're like, yeah, I don't think that was needed. But there was a way that you could have done it that would have been more respectful, in my opinion. Up next is The Railway Children. This movie is not great either. This is a remake of an old film that I never saw. And personally, for me, this is just a very generic and mediocre movie that, when you were in school, I'm sure there was times where your teacher would put on a movie because they didn't want to teach. This is that movie that they would put on, and you just sit there and fall asleep and you don't care what you're learning about. So that's that. Up next, we have Do Revenge. This is a brand new Netflix movie. Now, this movie I actually quite enjoyed. I was quite surprised by it, to be honest, because this is a movie that when I really much looked at it on just the surface level, it looks like every other Netflix movie I have ever watched. And that's what it felt like. And in all these Netflix romantic comedies and teen dramas, they all feel like they're in the same exact world. Maybe they are. Maybe there's a Netflix cinematic universe, but from the look, from the cinematography to some of the characters, it just feels all the same. Thankfully, though, Do Revenge does have two really good performances that hold it above its own. There's a nice little twist in there that I think works, and I do think the film's a little bit too long. It's like 2 hours, and when you're getting towards the end, it's just like twist and turn, and it's like, okay, let's settle this down. It's a little bit rushed towards the back half, and I wish they would have made more of the development towards the beginning than the back half. I think they wait too long to do the twist, but overall, very enjoyable, fun Netflix comedy, I guess. I don't even know what genre it would be, but I would say comedy. Up next, we have Hocus Pocus, the first one. I did a little bit of a marathon because I got to see the second one. I love the first one, but I also haven't watched it in like 15, 20 years. I'm not a huge cult fan of this movie. I know there's fans of this who like watch it every single Halloween season. I don't. And I enjoyed this movie. I genuinely love it from like a classic standpoint of something in part of my life. Is it perfect? No, but it's a movie that just has a lot of fun to it. And I love that they treat the witches as side characters to this because they are that type of character and they need to be that type of character. So overall, I'm very impressed with this first one after watching it after all this long. And I'm really excited to talk about the second one a little bit more next week. I do have my social media reaction overall for that on my YouTube channel. If you want to go check that out, feel free to go do so. But my number one from everything I've watched since I came back is Earl. Welcome back, my friend.
Hello. I
Hello.
just came in time for your number one, which is a movie that I haven't seen, but
Yeah.
do proceed, my friend.
So my number one's Pearl.
All right.
I really liked X. I really, really, really liked X. I still like X more than Pearl. But I will say aesthetically and performance-wise, Pearl is better. Like Mia Goth gives her best performance of her entire career. She gives a 9-minute monologue at one point that just needs to be hailed. It's fantastic. The last shot of the film is incredible. It's very creepy, and it's a great companion piece to X. Like, this will make you appreciate X more. And I will say this, a lot of people are wondering, should I see X first or Pearl? I recommend, if you haven't seen X yet, you watch that first, then watch Pearl. I know Pearl is a prequel movie, but the context of what you find out, and you get like little answers to certain things, really adds a lot of nuance to X, because right after you're done watching Pearl, you're gonna want to go watch X again. And there's a great ploy to that all. But cinematography wise, there's like something they do in here that I'm just like, how you only had $1 million? Like, this movie looks better than like half the fucking movies that came out this year, which is like insane. So I very recommend it. I don't love it. Like, there's a lot of my friends are loving it. But I really like this movie. Like, I really like this movie. And yeah, that's my weekly ranking.
All right. I didn't watch a lot this week. I watched whatever I reviewed plus one more thing. And that one more thing comes in last place, and that is that I finally watched the Taiwanese Netflix horror film Incantation. And it's pretty boring. It's a found footage movie. You know, I don't get down with that. Whenever it's not focusing on creating atmosphere or scares, which are rather effective, I found it jumbled. I found it boring. I found it uneventful. In a film that wants to be a mystery, jumping back and forth and trying to keep track of what characters know or don't know, it's not the wisest choice in terms of structure. So that comes in last place. Over that, I'm going to have this week's episode of She-Hulk, a perfectly enjoyable, fine episode.
Yeah, I
It is
forgot about
not as bad as episode 3. I'm sorry, but does not even come close. But it is once more an episode that throws the pacing completely off and offers no story progression until the very last shot. And introduces something
Yeah. I was gonna say, I know a lot of people expected Daredevil for this one. I mean, rightfully so. We all did. I actually heard don't expect that next week either now.
Oh, okay. Next week I'm expecting Frogman and then Daredevil.
Oh, I forgot about Frogman. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah,
you're probably right.
So, yeah, they introduced something so interesting that should have been the focus throughout the entire show. And so it has many interesting ideas. The show knows exactly what it's doing. I love how mad Twitter is, because that's exactly what the show predicted. So you objectively cannot accuse the show of not knowing what they're doing. And I'm not saying that as someone who likes what they're doing. I'm not the biggest fan, honestly, but they clearly know what they're doing. But it is disappointing. Over that, I'm going to have the 3 episodes of Andor all together. This is a fantastic kickstart for the series. I have seen episode 4 by now, but I'm not including that in the ranking. That review will be up on Wednesday morning. And on top of that, I'm going to have the new Netflix movie, Athena. Guys, watch this movie. Do not let this movie slip by you like I did over at Venice. I missed on experiencing this on the biggest screen possible, and I shouldn't. Even on Netflix, it's amazing. It's a sensational film that you should watch. I have no idea why France is not submitting this as their Oscars movie, but it's fantastic. I think it's just shy of cracking my top 10 of the year. I think it's my number 11 overall. It's my number 11 overall. It's just above Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. So go watch this. It would have cracked my top 3 of Venice. So yeah, definitely watch this one. And on top of that, House of the Dragon episode 5. This show continues to kick on all cylinders. I've seen episode 6 by now 2 times.
Same.
We'll talk more about episode 6 next week. And I will say episode 6 is easily the weakest of the bunch. But when I say weakest of the bunch, this is a show that is constantly hitting either perfection or just short of perfection. So when I say the next upcoming episode is the weakest, it's like a B plus or something. Yeah, or maybe even an A minus, because it's really fucking good. But episode 5 is an A easily. Like, the payoff is cathartic. It has so much focus on the right stuff. It brings everything together and catapults all the new dynamics onto the next stage of the series. So that comes in at number 1. All right. And before we move on to our main topic, which is House of the Dragon, let's see your weekly rankings on the live chat. And first, we have Geek, my weekly ranking number 8, Elvis. Wow, so low. That's still my top 10 of the year. Austin Butler was great, man. Not for me. Number 7, Don't Worry, Darling. Disappointing. Number 6, Andor 1 through 3. I thought it was fine. Okay. I'm surprised to see that. Number 5, She-Hulk, episode 6. Number 4, Do Revenge. Number 3, Squid Game, episodes 6 through 9. The Woman King, wasn't impressed by the trailer, liked it a lot. We'll be watching that next week. I have a packed week this week, guys, but we'll get to that near the end. The number 1, Better Call Saul, episodes 1 through 4. Speaking of shows that I'm not watching, I restarted The Crown, so I probably should have ranked that. The Crown is really good, so I just wanted to bring that up. Eric Thorpe reviews. Weekly ranking number 1, The Batman. Number 2, House of the Dragon, episode 5. Number 3, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. I'm behind The Lord of the Rings. You guys saw my review. You know I was underwhelmed by those first 2 episodes, so I still have not got back to watch it, honestly, because I'm super busy. It's not something that I'm going to review week to week, so I thought it best to leave it in the back burner. Number 4, Andor, episodes 1 through 3. Number 5, The Sopranos, season 2. Number 7, The Woman King. Number 8, Peace by Chocolate. Don't know what that is. And number 9, She-Hulk. Tony Movie Chappie. Number 6, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Number 5, King of the Hill. Number 4, Andor, episode 1. Number 3, Sucker Punch, extended cut. Number 2, Don't Worry, Darling. And number 1, Cyberpunk Edge Runners. I have no idea what that is, but I'm assuming it's related to the game.
It's a brand new anime that's on Netflix. It's apparently like, I mean, I've heard from people who don't even watch anime who fucking love that show. Like, I need to watch it because I really like the game. But can I say something real fast about that anime? I've not watched it, but you know how that game like came out and like people shit on it and like it was not supposed to come out yet. With bugs did not work. So that game was dead on arrival. The game has more players than it has ever had. It's in fact even more players than The Witcher had right now at its highest peak. It's like absolutely like the turnaround. Like that's how good apparently this anime is that it made people go, "Huh, I'm going to go back and play a game." Like that is insane to me.
All right. Dominican Scott, number 1, House of the Dragon, episode 5. Number 2, Chicago Fire. PD, and Med. It's all tied at number 2. And number 3, Batwoman season 2. And I think that is it for our weekly rankings. Thank you all for sharing yours in the live chat. And remember, if you want to add more questions for us to respond on the latter section of the episode, go to our community tab, leave a question there, and we'll do our best to get to them. But if you want to guarantee we answer your questions, make sure to support us via the tip link or super chat. Links are in the description. All right. Speaking of House of the Dragon, we're officially halfway through season 1. Tomorrow, the latest episode that I've seen, I don't know if they're going to keep sending me screeners, but tomorrow is, as of right now, the last episode that I've seen. So I've seen a little over past the half point of the show. And is this the best? Oh, and Zach's internet went out. No, and he's back. All right.
Oh, okay.
Is House of the Dragon, now that we're a little over halfway, is it building itself up to be the best show on TV? The pacing has been excellent. The consistent in quality is honestly insurmountable. There are no shows that I've seen keep up this consistency in quality at such a high level, you know? There are 1 or 2 shows like that, like The Boys, for instance, particularly season 3, which I loved. That's like one show that I remember, like in recent memory, doing that to such a high level of quality. So I think as of right now, with the stuff that is currently airing, be it like on actual air from week to week or like on streaming, this is easily the best thing that I've been watching. Like and it's not even close to anything else that I've been watching. I love my Marvel shows. I'm loving Andor so far, at least, but even so, like, it's not to this level where it's just so flawless in its storytelling, in the performances, in the visuals, in the lore. My God, this show continues to just impress, and they make it seem effortless. Zach, what are your thoughts?
All right, so I think it is currently the best TV show on television right now. I'm reviewing 4 different shows right now, which is like something I never fucking have done. It's just turns out you have She-Hulk, Andor, Lord of the Rings, and House of Dragons all going at once. And it's something that, like, no matter how, maybe some week of these, like She-Hulk, I did not like the episode this week. I thought it was the weakest episode. Then you jump in and
you like it less than episode 3?
Yep. I was
you
not.
You are snorting coke, brother. I love you, but you're snorting coke.
Yeah, I was not happy with this episode. And then Lord of the Rings of Power, really good episode this week. Actually, probably one of the best ones yet. But then, no matter how hard my week is, I'm so happy that every Sunday, like, I get to, even though I watch these episodes early, I get to sit down, rewatch it, see what fans are talking about, and I start my week off with that. And there's just something that hits about this fucking show that's just so good. Like, this is when Game of Thrones was at its peak. It was that discussion week to week, and we're getting that same thing back. It feels great. So, do I think it's the best show I've watched this year? I won't say so, because Better Call Saul came out, and that's still my favorite thing I've watched this year. Like, when it comes, but that's also the final season. The Boys is also really fucking good. Ozark ended this year, but I mean, besides Better Call Saul, I would probably say this is my favorite thing I've watched this year. It's the one show week to week besides Better Call Saul that I'm like, I have to watch this. Only Murders is up there too, though. Don't disregard that show.
Only Murders is up there with consistency.
Yeah,
that is true.
Season 2 was amazing. I cannot wait for season 3. I think they're already filming it, right?
I think they are.
Which is very, very exciting. Bring that show as fast as possible.
House of the Dragon, it's fascinating also because it came from this place where everyone was doubting it. Everyone was like, "Is this going to be as good as Game?" And I'm not just saying people who hated for some reason hated season 8. I'm talking about people like me. I like season 8. I like it quite a lot. They got to the ending that they should have gotten, but still coming into this, I'm like, can they capture lightning in the bottle again? And 5 episodes in so far, 5 times in a row, they have. But can they bring it across the finish line? Can they nail it in these next 5 episodes? Because now you're going to have a big time jump. All the faces that the fans associate with all these characters, all the dynamics are all different now. And that's a good thing. But all the faces, a lot of them are going to change. Rhaenyra is going to change. Alicent is going to change. Laenor is going to change. Lena, Velaryon is also going to change. So you're going to kind of
step into, and not just them. New characters are added too. More characters are added. So
not so much in the 6th episode yet.
I don't want to get into what it is.
No, me neither. But there aren't any other. I mean, some people have children at this point. That's it. But but yeah, not too many just yet. But I'm sure by episode 7, 8, 9, we're gonna meet.
And that's the one thing. Like, I have seen episode 6. I'm not sure what your embargoes say. Like, they tell us that we can do like non-spoiler reactions to it.
Yeah, I can do a non-spoiler review if I want to.
Okay. So I guess I'll give a little bit of that. I was very worried going into this because Millie Alcock is a fucking star and deserves the entire world after her performance in the first 5 episodes. Yeah, Spider-Gwen. Like, Ren has been hyping that for weeks. But Millie Alcock is literally the world. So I was very against them doing this. I don't like the time jump. I want more time with them. There's 2 brilliant things this show does. One, it makes me feel like I've never missed a period of time. No matter how far you jump, I know exactly where these characters are at within like the first 20 minutes of each episode. Even within that, I just feel like I'm already caught up, and I love the dynamic. I love everything. Very excellent writing. Episode 6, I loved the actors. Now, again, it's like they literally waited 10 years and then just say, oh, okay, they're old enough. Now we can film the next. They boyhooded it feels like. But like they did a really good job at the casting, because you don't bat an eye for a second. And it makes me excited to see where the rest of the season goes. What I am worried about, Ren, is what is next season? Like, is next season going to be this good? I have faith that I think they've given me 6 great episodes so far. Some amazing, some excellent, some just great.
Yeah. At the very worst, the worst episode for me, it's episode 6, is a great episode.
Oh, see, this one is, I think, my 3rd or 4th favorite, if I were to rank them all right now. Yeah, I loved this episode. And it's a lot of buildup, but I really love the dynamics and everything in there, and specifically the opening shot. I'm going to explore
it further tomorrow when I post my spoiler review. But the biggest issue for me is really that you're kind of in this reset stage, where I agree with you that you have a time jump, but all the conflict is there at a high level of tension. It doesn't like start from zero. Like the conflict that you establish in episode 5, where the characters finish up, they're still at each other's crosshairs throughout episode 6. And episode 6 is a really important building stage for the latter half of the season. Yep. I almost wish, Zach, I know HBO Max wouldn't do this, and in the long run, it's much better for them. But episode 5 and 6 are excellent companion pieces to watch back to back. Like every other episode, watch them week to week. But episode 5 and 6, they're both the midpoint of the series. It's not just episode 5. They feel like the two sides of the same coin.
And they're the longest episodes yet.
And they're the longest episodes so far.
Yeah, so far. That's true, because no one's seen the rest. Except I think
I remember at the time when they sent me the first 6 episodes, they were only supposed to send the first 5. And in case I was going to lose the screeners, I just immediately binged through all of them and filmed them all in bulk. But yeah, so far they're working really well. But you brought up a good point. Is season 2 going to work out? I'm honestly not even worried that Miguel Sapochnik left.
I'm not worried about that either. No.
I'm more worried that.
Isn't he going to do the other Game of Thrones show that they're working on? Didn't he leave to go do a different Game of Thrones show though?
I don't think so. I know they're working on other shows. They're at least working on another live action one and on an animated one.
Okay. I heard stuff about the Jon Snow one this week. That gets me.
That's true. I heard it's the same thing we heard. I think as of now it's still an unbiased, unfounded rumor that we shouldn't pay too much attention to as of now. But yeah. But so for season 2, they're keeping up this consistent pace. Can they bring it across the finish line? Can they nail this latter half as much as they nailed the first? Because it really is a show that you have to look at it as 2 halves of one story. Like what they've been doing so well as of right now is planting seeds, build up throughout the episodes, small story threads that have build up, set up, and payoff within the episodes, but they all still accumulate and they build throughout the other episodes, building to something bigger. Can this latter half do that? Because it feels so much like this restarting point or readjustment point is a better way of putting it. You haven't read the book. I haven't read the book. So I don't know what they do for season 2. I don't know if they'd be stretching the source material. I don't know if they'd be rushing it and compacting it to just 10 episodes for what it is. But just the fact that we're here discussing this is exactly what gets me excited. Because even in shows that I love, like Loki, like Moon Knight, we come to a point, Ms. Marvel, which worked out great in the end. We come to a point where we're like, okay, this show is either going to rush through it all or it's going to leave a lot on the table. It's just going to drag everything else. House of the Dragon is not doing that so far. Okay. House of the Dragon feels every episode has told its own story. It has drastically changed the the stakes, the dynamics, the conflicts, the levels of everything like changes in the span of an hour. So by the end of an hour each Sunday, you feel satisfied. You feel satiated in that hunger of seeing some story advancement.
Yep.
So I'm pretty confident that they can nail this latter half as much as they nailed the first. Because really, behind the scenes, it's the same people. And I was actually talking yesterday about. I promise we can bring it all. We can tie it all together. Yesterday, I was discussing The Rise of Skywalker. And The Rise of Skywalker is a film that, for all its faults, does incredible setup for incredible ideas that, for some reason, the same people that set those things up within the same movie never pay them off. This show, in each episode, is showing us that they understand what payoff is. So as of right now, unless episode 7 really starts to tank it, I'm pretty confident. But what about you?
I'm not worried. I'm not worried too much about this season. It really goes down to the rest of the season. I think there's a lot of elements that, because reality is it's 200 years. Well, less than 200 now till Daenerys is till Game of Thrones at least. It's 100 and something or 170 something till Daenerys, but it's 200 till Game of Thrones itself, like where we started Game of Thrones. So we have to get there. I imagine each season's, a different generation of Targaryen that we've heard about. Will some of these characters move over to that season? Maybe we'll see older versions of some of these characters move into the next season. Maybe we won't see any of these characters. I'm curious to see if, I know, like, if you know lore in Game of Thrones, you know where some of these characters end up. You know how some of them might perish. You know how some of them might die. Curious to see if that happens.
I'm glad I don't.
You don't? Oh, you really? So you don't remember?
I will read. I will purchase the book once.
Wasn't it from Game of Thrones? Talks about it though.
I know. I saw a meme about that the other day, and I specifically avoided it because, like, if I don't know right now, why would I read this meme before finishing the show? Now that the show exists.
Yeah, smart. And it's really cool. I saw a video, and part of me wishes I didn't read it or watch it, but part of me is like kind of happy I did, because it just shows how in touch with like the earlier seasons of Game of Thrones was within the lore, because like they'll mention this character and how this character dies, and you're like, oh, that is interesting. So now I'm waiting for certain things to happen, and that is some of the cool aspects of it all. So I love it. But can we mention one thing? And I think a lot of people need to be ready for this. Viserys, man, he just needs a nice bottle of Coke, and he just needs to be left alone.
Just wait till you see what he looks like in episode 6.
Everyone. Oh, he looks like shit. He looks like shit, but yeah, it's great. Someone wants you to show your shirt, by the way, full screen.
My shirt. It's a piece. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. It is a Goku shirt, and behind him, I believe it's just a symbol of the Kami house. Let me just bring myself up to solo layout. There you go. It's Goku himself from Dragon Ball Z, with a Kame House symbol behind him. I don't remember what the Kame House symbol says exactly, but it has to do with his philosophy of peaceful mindfulness and mercy upon your enemy and learning through struggle, which is the main theme of Dragon Ball. All right, I'm going to leave your super chat up on screen until we move on to the live questions, but thank you so much, Apis, for your support of the channel. You were saying, Zach?
I can't get enough of this show, man. I love how in touch with it is. And I can't wait to see where it ends. And I think if HBO continues to put this care into Game of Thrones, like whatever other spinoffs they have, you have something special here. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the next 10 years we see a Game of Thrones movie, to be honest with you, like in theaters, completely separate from everything else going on in the world. But yeah, I just love it. It's so much fun. I loved Game of Thrones. And maybe the toxicity of the fan base really started to kill it for me. But I'm happy to see everyone kind of coming back.
Yeah. And the real question that we've been avoided so far, the final question before we move on, but What's going to happen in episode 8 or 9, which is usually the shocking episode of the season. In Game of Thrones, it was always, I don't remember if it was 8 or 9. I think it was 9.
I think it's
but
9. It's all well. 9 was always the
someone.
action one, wasn't it? 9 was always the big action one, I think.
Yes. So probably 8 is like the big twisty one, or big shocking one of some kind. And I mean, there's something big in episode 6. Let's just say that, and it's something that they mentioned in Game of Thrones in season 2 specifically. I remember that. I remember that it's around the time where Arya meets Sir Tywin Lannister. Holy shit! Eric Thorpe, good friend of the show, with a $7 super chat. Thank you so much, Eric Thorpe. You are a good friend of the show, man. We really appreciate you. You guys are making me so happy with all the Game of Thrones and House of Dragon talk. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying. We couldn't be happier to talk about this show that I'm loving week to week. I'm really loving watching this show, talking about it. And so, like I was saying, there's something big that happens in this week's episode that was discussed as like this thing that happened in the past in season 2 of Game of Thrones. I don't remember like particular episode or anything. I just remember that it's during those moments where you get Arya and Sir Tywin Lannister. I even remember reading about this event in the Game of Thrones books, like characters talking about something that happened in a certain location. And again, like you watch episode 6, and by the end you're like, okay, shit just changed. Shit just got real. Like there was something major happening, a major dynamic shift when it comes to like characters and relationships on screen. So Zach, what's the episode? What's gonna happen? Throw your wild guess without implying anything regarding.
I was about to say, so I won't give actual context to what I think might happen, just because I know where some of these characters' fate lies. It's really tough because of after seeing this episode, so I need to make sure of what I say.
Let me say mine first then, because it might be easier for you. Since I haven't read the books, I don't know what happens to any of these characters. But this show has been building to this since episode 1. It's all been about Viserys trying to make a future for his family.
Yep.
Struggling to survive as he does it. The chipping away of his life from within. I think this has got to end. Maybe it's not even episode 8 or 9. It's like the last episode, but it's got to end with Viserys dying. He's got to die. I don't know that he's going to be murdered. I don't know that. He could be. I would try and guess who murders him, but it could imply something for episode 6. In case he is murdered, by the way. I'm not saying he is. It would make all the sense in the world if he died of natural causes, because again, that's what the show's been building. But I just feel like a major catalyst for the ultimate Rhaenyra-Alicent confrontation has to be Viserys dies. So
I actually don't know how he dies. That's one of the few characters I stayed away from. I assume he will die from his illness, though. Like that is like 100%. It's just a ticking. For me, the way that I've always talked is that the show just has this edge of tickingness to it. Like a bomb is about to go off, but when does that bomb go off? And maybe that bomb is when Viserys dies. Does the crown? Does everything go into insanity? You know, specifically where you see Rhaenyra is at the end of this episode, like where she is placed at, where she feels that she must be. So I'm interested to see what happens. But you know, you'll have to come and see. So I guess we'll talk about it then.
All right, and that is it. That's our predictions, theories. What's going to happen? Is House of Dragon going to stay the landing? Because also we know there's at least one more time jump to come after episode 6, according to the trailers. Because we do see one of the Targaryen children, not the Valerian children, the Targaryen children, as an adult. So we'll see what happens there. All right, everyone. Moving on to your questions, which you can leave in the community tab, and we'll do our best to get to it. Starting off with the Master of Gaming. Are you happy that Jurassic World Dominion is the second film of the year to make $1 billion worldwide after Top Gun Maverick? No, I'm indifferent because I didn't like the movie. So unless I like the movie, I'm not rooting against the movie if I don't like it. I never hope for a movie to flop because a lot of people's jobs are depending on it and reputations and all that. So I'm indifferent to the fact that Jurassic World hit it. Zach?
It's kind of funny to me that Disney has not had $1 billion movie this year.
That's true.
And
That's true.
it's wild. And it also is baffling to me because this movie was like $30 to $45 million off a couple weeks ago. And what did Universal do? Oh, we'll just keep it in theaters. Like they literally just were like, we'll just keep it in theaters worldwide until it hits $1 billion. So that's what they did. You know what Disney should have done? They should have done the exact same thing with Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Because that's literally like $40 to $50 million off. Then you would have hit $1 billion, and then you could be like, hey, we have $1 billion movie. I mean, clearly they have two more big heavy hitters that are most likely at least one of them is hitting $1 billion. It's either Black Panther or Avatar. I assume if Black Panther is just good, it hits $1 billion. If it's great, it's gonna go higher. Avatar's hitting $1 billion though. Like that I would be shocked if it doesn't. But
I hope so, man.
We'll come as far. We'll see. But it is crazy that Disney is like only the fourth highest grossing studio this year. It's like I think Universal's number one, then Paramount, and that's just insane to me to think. So,
I mean, they got Black Panther 2 coming, so let's see. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
The Master of Gaming. Are you sad that White Bird, a Wonder Story, got pulled from Lionsgate a month before it was supposed to come out? I really wanted to watch it. I didn't know this up until now, and do I want to say I'm not surprised? It did look like shit. Out of all the things to turn into a franchise, Wonder, which I love, that movie is wonderful, no pun intended. But that movie turned into a franchise, it's a not choice. So I'm surprised though. Maybe they're just adjusting release dates. Maybe they don't believe it enough. Maybe they think it's shit and they're trying to sell it to a streamer. Maybe they'll delay it until like January, because according to we saw last week that January does look quite empty overall. So yeah, Zach, what do you think?
To be honest, I had to look up because I had no idea what this was. I really like the movie Wonder.
Helen Mirren.
Yeah. Honestly, it's probably shit. So, but the first Wonder's a very heartwarming movie. So
wonderful. Yeah.
Whose film was this? Real fast. Whose film was this? Lionsgate.
Lionsgate.
Guarantee it goes to Amazon Prime. It feels like a Prime movie.
Good shout. Good shout. The Master of Gaming. Do you think The Minions: The Rise of Gru will be the first animated film to make $1 billion worldwide since Frozen 2? I don't know. What's it doing? What's it
I'll
sitting
go
at
look up
right
the
now?
box office. I actually talked with this about one of my coworkers. So let me see what it's at right now.
Worldwide. Don't check domestic. Check worldwide. By the way.
Give me 1 second. It keeps only giving me domestic.
No worries.
Oh shit! It's actually really close. It's like
It is?
914 million.
Ooh, 914.
Can you? It's about to leave theaters.
How much it made last weekend?
Let me try.
Is that available on your peripheral vision?
Domestically, $1 million.
And worldwide, you can't see, right?
Nah.
So
but let me see let me see if it needs to still open places. That'll.
I doubt it. Animated stuff usually 9 times out of 10 opens worldwide at the same time. That's one of the.
This one's actually been missing a lot though. That's what I remember because we made a bet. Yeah, it didn't open until in China. I mean, let me see if it opened in China yet. If it's opened in China, then it's still has a chance.
Yeah. Because 914, I think it will just end up shy of $1 billion. It will not hit it. At least in its initial release. Maybe they're like, let's re-release it at Christmas.
It did open in China already. It did open
yet, so it's gonna finish up just shy of $1 billion. I think it can reach 920 maybe, but that's it. What do you think?
It's Universal. I wouldn't be shocked if they just leave it in theaters till it hits it at this point.
All right. Master Gaming also asks, out of these January 2023 films, which one are you most excited for? Fear, the trailers on YouTube. Don't know it. I have no idea what this is. Zach, do you know what this is?
What is it?
Fear.
What? I know the game Fear.
All right.
But...
Harold the Purple Canyon from Carlos Saldaña, Ice Age 2 director. Also have no idea what this is. Do you, Zach? No. Distant from Lyle Crocodile directors, which, as of right now, before seeing Lyle Crocodile, just judging from the trailers, I'm not excited for that whatsoever. But I also don't know anything about this. Zach?
I have no idea what they are talking about. I know the crocodile movie, though.
And finally, a movie that I have no idea what it is either, but just from the description, I can tell you I'm excited. The Plane, from the director of Bloodfather and starring Gerard Butler. That's all I need. Sign me up. But I have no idea what this movie is. It could look like shit, and I wouldn't know. But it stars Gerard Butler. I don't know what kind of hold that man has on me, but I'll always give his movies a chance. What do you think?
I have no idea what we're talking about, to be honest. I just keep hearing
titles. Well, aren't you excited to get a Gerard Butler movie?
I guess. Sometimes they're good.
Come on, don't leave me hanging here. God damn it.
Sometimes they're good.
All right.
Sometimes they're good.
Tony Movie Chappie. After Men and Don't Worry, Darling, I guess he meant to say, I must ask, what are some polarizing movies that you really like or love? Off the top of my head, these questions, by the way, they usually work better if you give us examples to bounce off of. But just this year, I mean, apparently the sun is polarizing for some reason. I don't know what people are seeing. And Thor: Love and Thunder. Those are mine. That's my number 4 and number 5 of this year, respectively.
I am very interested to see the sun because it's like I hear one person loved it, and then I'll go talk to someone else who saw it, and they're like, I fucking hated the movie.
Yeah, I don't know what movie they're seeing.
But like, they don't want to tell me.
It's one of those. I'm like, what?
Yeah, real fast. Did you like that movie with Oscar Isaac, Life Itself? Was that what it was called? Did you like that one?
I despise that movie.
Okay,
I was so excited. The trailer to this day, I see the trailer. It makes me weep. That trailer is fucking beautiful. It's from the director. The director is the creator of This Is Us. I interviewed him and Olivia Cook at the red carpet at LFF 2018. I went to the premiere. I was crying at the end of that movie, but for all the wrong reasons. I despise that movie. It is so fucking awful. But yes,
yeah, I agree.
You were saying.
But yeah, so they asked like polarizing movies that I mean, Thor's one of mine. I just do not get the hate on that movie. But yeah, I guess that Men would be another one because I really liked Men. A lot of other people didn't.
I didn't.
Maybe
but I was indifferent to it.
Oh, Lightyear. Lightyear. A lot of people shit on that movie.
Oh, Lightyear is really good. Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's on my top 20.
Let me look. Maybe I have one more. Nah, that's it. That's really it. I'm pretty. Bullet Train was awesome too. A lot of people shit on that one.
Bullet Train was a blast, man. That movie is so much fun. Lady Aaron, do you think that Don't Worry, Darling will be a box office bomber? Definitely not. I highly doubt it'll be a box office bomber.
It was not made for that much.
It was not made for that much. It's going to make a lot of money because of the controversy, but there's some factors that Aaron brings up. First off, the critical reception of Don't Worry, Darling is not good at all, especially if you look at its Rotten Tomato score. But general audiences don't pay attention to those scores. And the general audiences are what brings in the most money to the box office. Second is the Olivia Wilde controversy, in which could set some people off from seeing it. That's only going to bring more people in, the way I see it, at least. Especially with that article blowing up yesterday, people want to see this movie because of all that drama. They're going to be kind of disappointed because a lot of people are just judging the movie off of the drama. And once you see the film, for better or worse, in both its qualities and in its faults, the film is not affected whatsoever by the drama that happened behind the scenes. And third is that since Avatar is re-released in theaters this week, people are probably going to see that movie in place of Don't Worry, Darling. I'm going to be shocked if Avatar does that good, if Avatar does better than Don't Worry, Darling. People are just not that interesting in revisiting. Zach and I have been discussing this for like 2 years, ever since it was finally settled that Avatar would come out this year. And general audiences are very interested in going back, but I don't think whatsoever that they are that interested in revisiting it, particularly because it's on Disney Plus and they're just releasing it
not in the United States. Not in the United States. No, it's not on Disney Plus.
Because they took it out. It was on Disney Plus. They took it out, and they're going to put it back in.
Let me say this way though. I am seeing it today. Every showing is sold out.
Really?
Every showing of IMAX is sold out in Arizona.
I could see then domestic it doing very well, but worldwide,
I think it's gonna kill. It's projected to make 11 right now. 11 million world.
Okay.
11 million.
I mean, I think Don't Worry, Darling does a whole lot more than that.
Oh, I think Don't Worry is projected to do 20. I think 20, 25. Yep. So that's literally its production budget. I think its production budget was like 25, 30. So, I mean, it literally just needs to make like 60, 70 to break even at the end of the day, because they didn't market it that much. I'll tell you that right fucking now. They did not market that movie at all. Yeah. The drama marketed that film.
Yeah, the drama marketed, and it's going to do well because of the drama. Lady Aaron, what are some movies so far in the 2020s decade that did not do well at the box office that you think should not have been box office bombs at all? I don't know.
Lightyear.
Well, yeah, Lightyear is a good example, but like off the top of my head, what else bombed that shouldn't have bombed? The Suicide Squad. The Suicide Squad should have done really well. But yeah, in these like list questions, always try to give 1, 2, maybe 3 examples to just bounce, just ignite the spark to have some names pop up in our minds. This question is for Zach, because you weren't here last week. What are your thoughts on the Babylon trailer?
I did a trailer reaction. I fucking loved it. I've rewatched this trailer multiple times. I cannot wait to see this movie. I know someone who saw this months ago, and he keeps bragging to me about it. So that's nice of him. I just can't wait for the movie. Like the way he he called me right after watching that movie. He's like, I'm not gonna spoil anything. But he's like, I just want you to know that like this will probably be one of your favorite films of all time. He goes, so Wolf of Wall Street meets this, this, and this. And I'm like, sounds just like my cup of tea. And after watching that trailer, I'm like, the energy in that trailer is like literally Wolf of Wall Street to me. I'm like, the first time I ever saw the Wolf of Wall Street trailer, it was like the same feeling I got from Babylon. And isn't Wolf of Wall Street Paramount too? I could be wrong, but isn't it Paramount?
I believe it is Warner Brothers.
Let me look it up.
I'm going to check.
Let's see who finds it first. It's a coding race.
Paramount, you're right. Distributed by Paramount.
Wow, that's wild. So I guess Paramount loves cocaine. Apparently they love cocaine.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, you're right. So
all right, Lady Aaron, this question is for Zach. I answered this question last week, so I'm going to give you what I answered to it, and then you're going to tell me if I was right or wrong. What would your YouTube channel be about if it wasn't about movies or movie reviews? I said it would do theme parks, Disney and whatever other parks there are there.
1000%. I would do Disney theme parks only. I would literally only focus on Disney theme parks. Well, 2 things. I would either do video games, like I would go hard on fucking video games. I would stream every day. I would do like everything with that. Or Disney theme parks, or both. I mean, to be honest, like if I got to the point where my channel, like where I feel like I didn't have to make a video every fucking day about a movie, I would go hard on these other 2. Because I love, like, I don't watch, like, if it's not Ren or Real James or Leo or Patrick or, you know, some of our other friends that we've mentioned, or maybe even Chris Stuckman, who I still watch, I do not watch movie reviews on YouTube. I just don't. I don't care to. I care what my friends think about, and that's really it. Like, I really do not care. What I like watching on YouTube is, like, theme park stuff. I love watching history stuff about that, and I love watching video game videos. Like, that's what I do. That's why I don't, like, this year I've not watched as many movies as I wanted to, because I took my thing out. I don't want to watch shit. I don't want to watch shit. I'm tired of watching shit. There's a lot of shit in this world for movies, and I'd rather spend my time doing things I enjoy more than watching a piece of crap. Which, shout out to Ren. Dude, you've watched so many movies this year that I'm just like, why? Like, I'll look at some of your Netflix movies you've watched. I'm like, why did you waste your time? Like, good for you, because then I know what to watch or not. Like,
I do Athena, it for the people.
I'll watch Athena, but I ain't watching some of your other ones.
Please watch Athena. I haven't watched Lou. I'm interested to see Lou.
I don't even know what that is. I don't even know. Is
that the new Allison Janney, Journey Smollett Netflix movie. But by the way, I'm actually going to turn this question, because you weren't here last week. What do you think my channel would be about, or what would have been my answer? I still remember what I answered last week, and I still stand by it. But I'm curious to see what your take is. Since last week I guessed yours.
If this isn't it, give me a hint to what it would be. But I would say anime. I think you're really into anime, so that's one thing that I think I could. But I don't know if that pertains because technically you still review it.
That's the thing. I didn't answer anime because it would still technically be the same thing. Before anime, I even said I'd probably focus entirely on Power Rangers, maybe. But again, that would still be like movie reviewing.
So that was gonna be my next guess, was Power Rangers or comic books. Like you deep diving into either of those.
You know what? Maybe comic books. I didn't answer comic books, but maybe like just looking at saying, "Hey, here's the comics I got this month."
Have you ever watched Owen Likes Comics, his channel?
I know of him. I don't think I ever.
He does really like that's the kind of videos that I think you would do. Like if you go watch, he pretty much takes a comic book and deep dives into it, like shows the comic panels and stuff like. And that's what I feel like you would end up doing is like, why is like you would discuss why is this the best Batman comic ever made?
You know what? That's a good shout. I ultimately went with there's another passion of mine that you have no interest in, but it's the previous profession of one of the Guardians of the Galaxy and one member of the Suicide Squad.
Wrestling.
Yeah. So. That was ultimately my answer.
Good pick. I could see that too.
Lady Aaron. Okay, we got that one. So yesterday we lost Louise Fletcher. She passed away at the age of 88. She was known for playing Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Do you like her performance in that movie? And is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest one of your favorite movies? Love her performance in that movie. She's incredible. R.I.P. It's like the performance I personally associate her with. Is it one of my favorite movies? It's a great movie, but I don't personally hold it close to my heart. Zach?
I have literally the same thoughts as you. I don't really have much more to add. It's sad, but she did live a long life and she gave great performances. So,
yeah. Lady Aaron, this question is for Zach again. If you were to choose one video game world to live in for the rest of your life, what would it be? What would it be, and why?
Well, all the video games I like are really depressing, so I wouldn't want to live in
I went
with
Pokemon.
Worlds.
I would fucking love to live
in Pokemon. I would probably do Pokemon too, because it's not depressing.
Yeah.
I'd either do Pokemon or like Kingdom Hearts, because then technically I could go to any world. So yeah, that's what I would choose.
Good answer. Lady Aaron, what are your thoughts on the fact that we are getting a teaser trailer for the animated Mario Bros. Movie in early October? All right, cool. No thoughts before watching the trailer. Like, the release date doesn't really mean much to me. The trailer drops when the trailer drops, and when it drops, I'll see it. But up until I actually watch it, I honestly have no thoughts. It's a boring answer, but it's the honest answer. Zach?
I'm more looking forward to when someone takes Paulo's voice from House of Gucci and dubs it over every version of Mario's face when he talks.
It's a sheet, not cioccolato. They may look the same, but they taste very different.
That's all I want. But to be honest, I'm really excited to see the animation. That's what I'm excited for, because we don't know anything. Like, honestly, I'm not hating on this movie. I don't like. Is the voice casting weird? Sure.
Yeah.
But like, it could be the best choices ever. I mean, we literally will not know. And you know what? I already know. People have already made up their opinions. Like, no matter how Chris Pratt sounds, he could literally sound just like fucking Mario, and people will still shit on him. Like, that's what I'm telling you right now. That sucks. So I'm open-minded. I hope this is awesome. I love Mario itself. So show me a good story. Show me this. Illumination can make good movies. So, because a lot of the people over there are also from DreamWorks Animations too now. Like, they're merged. So this is one of those first movies that was made during that merging of everything. So prove me wrong. Show me this can be great. That's what I want to see.
All right. Zach, what is your favorite memory of watching a movie with your parents, whether they ended up loving it or hating it?
I'm not. I mean, recently I feel like they just hate every movie I show them, so I don't like to show them new movies. But in the past, I mean, it was more of them showing me movies. Signs is one of the biggest ones that they ever showed me that scared the fucking absolute shit out of me. Tremors. Any of those horror movies. Me and my dad used to like every October, like once a night, would watch a new horror movie. So no matter what context it was, family friendly or not. So that's where I saw the Universal classic monster movies, Gremlins, Tremors, like I said, Eight-Legged Freaks, like these fucking cheesy horror movies, and then some fucked up ones like, well, I guess it's more cheesy now, but 13 Ghost, things like that I just enjoyed, and that's like some of my favorite memories. What about you?
All right. No, I answered last week. I don't remember like I gave the example that a recent one was like Spider-Man No Way Home in theaters because my dad took me to see the original Sam Raimi one. So when Tobey Maguire stepped out of the portal,
and he had no idea,
like,
right?
He was like, "Oh, there he is!" Like he had no idea because he's not on Twitter, he's not on the internet. I didn't tell him anything, so yeah. And and I never put myself through the Amazing Spider-Man movies so he would watch it. So even when Andrew Garfield showed up, he was like, "Oh, there's this new guy who's Spider-Man." So even then, he had no idea he was about to see.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
What is your favorite early screening experience for a movie, and your least favorite early screening experience for a movie?
I have this already. I have this off the top of my head. This is
best. It's got to be Endgame for me. Endgame, or I don't know. I mean, there's so many because honestly, every time I get invited to an early screening, I'm like, wow, I can't believe this is happening. Same. I'm still very much taken by it. But before I go to my worst, what is your best?
So my best is, I mean, Endgame would probably be up there, but I enjoyed more of my theatrical experience with the first audience. Same with like Spider-Man No Way Home. But two of mine would be Black Panther, because when I got Black Panther, it was literally the way Disney did it was they showed everyone. They showed everyone like pretty much the first day. Like everyone's watching at the same time. But the reason was because that's the first screener I ever got that was big. Like when I got that, I was like, all right, I feel like really special for this, like because I'd never gotten a big film like that. But the best one, Spider-Verse. I went in there not that hyped.
I did not see that one early.
And Ren, it was me, my friend, and no other critics showed up.
Really?
Because no one wanted to see it. Maybe like one or two.
Okay.
And we all walked out buzzing, like insanely, and to the point where we would go into, because it was a critics screening to like vote for the film. So then we were like, everyone fucking needs to see this, because they had one more screening the week prior. I went to that one. Every other critic was there. All right. So it just word of mouth really fucking pushed that film over. But what's your worst one?
My worst one. Like I will say, just to establish it, in these screenings, they're like, I haven't had a bad experience in terms of like somebody talking loudly or anything, because these are critics. Like everyone is very respectful in these screenings. At least I've had the luck of it being that case. So in that regard, I haven't had a bad experience. But I will say the most awkward experience maybe was watching Licorice Pizza. It was a big group of us. We had just become colleagues, peers, friends recently because we met at last year's LFF, and Licorice Pizza was at the end of last year. Then there was a group of influencers there who kept taking pictures of themselves. They weren't taking pictures of the screen, so it didn't see like a flash on the screen, but you could like sense, I guess, that there was a flash going on behind you. And they were kind of annoying until people started looking. But yeah, I guess Licorice Pizza is one that pops to mind for me. Fun experience, but awkward experience.
For me, an actual press screening where it's just press, there was for Beautiful Boy, there was two people behind me making fun of the entire film the entire time, making comments. They would be like, oh, like oh, look, it's Michael Scott and his wife, because literally it fucking is, like, it's the same actors, and they would continuously do that. And I was just like, this is not the type. Like, those are comments to think to yourself and to joke after the movie, but like, not this type of film, dude. Like, especially with how heavy that fucking film is. Like, so that, like, off the top, that was like the first one that popped in my head. I've won advanced screening tickets before I was pressed that had some really bad things, but not as like, yeah, that was bad as like a press member.
All right. What are some of the best movie villains in your opinion? Some of the worst movie villains in your opinion? I don't know worst, but simply put, the greatest villain in movie history is Darth Vader. Like no one else comes close. No one else beats him for second place. The Joker from The Dark Knight is maybe number 2, but Darth Vader is the undisputed number 1.
Yep.
Zach?
Yeah.
Any bad
agree.
ones?
Bad ones.
Malekith.
Yeah, that was like it's like the first one that popped in my head. Malekith.
See, we can criticize the MCU. We're not Disney.
But I would also say Thanos is one of the best. Top 5 easily. I mean, he's fantastic. So, that's really it. I don't really have any other ones to pick.
All right. What, in your opinion, is the most overrated and underrated movie musical of all time? Again, it's one of those list questions that I don't know. What is an overrated musical? An underrated musical is The Greatest Showman. Because The Greatest Showman has a lot of story faults, but the lyrics, the choreography, the cinematography, the message at the end of the day is wonderful in that film. But yeah. That's underrated. Overrated, I don't know. What do you think, Zach? Anything pops to mind?
I don't like musicals. That's like my least favorite genre. So, but I love a lot of musicals. So I never get hyped about them. So I don't have any really to pick from here for overrated.
Oh, I'm going to set the world on fire. Hamilton is overrated, but that's technically not a movie. At least
I have one now that you said that.
Yeah.
Anna and the Apocalypse, fun movie. I just don't get the hype.
Oh, really? I really enjoyed it. I watched it for the first time around Christmas this past year.
I did too.
This was really good.
I did too. I liked it. Everyone was like, "This is amazing," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's good."
It's definitely not amazing for sure. Like a very strong 3.5. And many movies wish they could be a 3.5. So yeah. Nathan Holton, why do you think Don't Worry Darling has such bad reviews? Because people are stupid. No, I'm kidding. It's in my top 10 of the year. I love it. Thought Harry Styles was quite good. Well, I'm glad Harry Styles worked for you. For me, it was rather inconsistent. Bad reviews because it didn't work for people. I disagree. I think a lot of people are viewing it from the spectrum of the drama, and so they're going to hate on the movie. I think a lot of people are seeing it from the perspective of the ending was bad, so the entire movie was bad. I said this in a conversation yesterday, but 2 great acts and 1 fine act do not a bad movie make. So I quite don't understand why it is getting such a bad reception, but I think some of the drama may be muddling some people's views. But for the most part, I just think it didn't work for people, just like a lot of movies don't work for everyone. Thor: Love and Thunder didn't work for a lot of people. I don't get it, but it didn't work for them. So, another day, another movie. Zach?
I don't love Don't Worry Darling. I like it, certainly. I think it's good. It's better than a lot, like 34% on Rotten Tomatoes. But yeah, I think some of the drama skews that. I was going to say, I was, to be honest, when Amsterdam's reaction started coming out, I was like, oh, it's probably like the same thing there. Then you reacted to it, and I know you're not the type that, like, if you like a movie, you're gonna fucking say it. So yeah, now I'm a little bit not with that one.
Lady Aaron, we got a trailer of the week for the new M. Night Shyamalan movie, Knock at the Cabin. Did you guys see this trailer? And if so, what are your thoughts on this trailer? Are you intrigued to see this movie? Do you think it'll be terrible or a disaster like some of his previous movies, like Old? Zach, you go first, because I know you're very excited for this film.
I'm actually gonna go buy the book and read it. I was going not to do, but I have to know. I have to know. I have to fucking know. And I don't want to just look it up. I genuinely want to read and see what happens. You know what? It's from the same cinematographer as The Witch in the Lighthouse, so that gets me really excited. I like the cast. I like the concept. I've heard the book is incredible. So hopefully it's great.
Mhm.
Old is not was not a great movie, but I did like some of the sentimental things in there. Maybe part of it was because I did read that graphic novel. I don't love some of the changes he did to there, but I did like his adaptation overall. The graphic novel is 10 times better, just so everyone knows. But I love M. Night. The trailer, I'll be honest, I did not watch the full thing. I watched up until a certain point, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I'm excited. Am I nervous? Yes, but M. Night is one of my favorite directors. Just because I always give him a chance. I think The Visit, he really brought it back. I'm one of the minority that really liked Glass. So we'll see.
I'm definitely in the minority that I hate The Visit. I was so bored by that film, and I called the twist. One should never call the twist in an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
I knew that twist. Yeah.
I am very intrigued by this trailer. I think the trailer looks quite good. Do I think it could be terrible? Absolutely, because it's M. Night Shyamalan. He goes one place or the other. There's no in between. Rarely there is an in between. For example, I think Glass is quite an in between movie. It has a really good first act, a solid second act, and an awful third act. When it comes to Knock at the Cabin, I'm just in this place where if it is bad, I hope it's old kind of bad. I hope it's happening kind of bad. Because for the most part, with the exception of Lady in the Water, and even Lady in the Water is kind of funny with the names that he makes up. But apart from the exception of The Last Airbender, even when M. Night Shyamalan is bad, it is a blast to watch his stuff. So if that ends up being bad, I hope it's another one like Old, where it's so fucking ridiculous. He shoots so off the fences that somehow it kind of works due to how bad it is. So I hope it's actually good, but yeah. Here's hoping it's really, really good or accidentally hilariously bad. Tony Movie Chappie. With the mess that Star Wars is in right now, do you think that there have been a lot of bad management at Lucasfilm with the mishandling of Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, Kathleen Kennedy constantly firing her directors that she picks, and not trusting them to make a Star Wars movie? Do you think the reason why they haven't gotten rid of her is because no one wants to take the job as the head at Lucasfilm? Well, first of all, I don't think Star Wars is a mess. I think Star Wars is quite inconsistent in terms of quality, but I don't think they're a mess right now. Because let's remember, Kathleen Kennedy, yeah, she greenlit and they mishandled Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, but these are also the same people who did Clone Wars Season 7, the entirety of Star Wars Rebels, Mando Seasons 1 and 2, and they're now doing Andor. So it's important to acknowledge how bad Book of Boba Fett was and how underwhelming Obi-Wan was, but the same people also did this other stuff that we are loving.
And Indiana Jones might be amazing. Same with Willow. Willow might be good.
Same with Willow. Willow might be amazing. So. I actually just watched the movie for the first time recently because I want to try getting into the show.
Never seen it. Is it good?
It's quite fun. It's very much, okay, this is a Ron Howard fantasy movie. Like, it's very family friendly and that, but it's quite charming. It's really fun. Yeah. But what do you think about this? Do you think Star Wars is a mess right now?
No,
I don't.
I mean, you could argue it's always been a mess. They've never had structure. The original trilogy was not structured. Yeah. The prequels were structured, and then they have a lot of issues to themselves. So, I mean, you know what is a mess? The fan base. The fan base is a mess. But that's
every fan base.
To a certain extent. I mean, Lord of the Rings fan base is pretty bad right now too. But it's really bad. But I mean, that's the thing. I think you need to make your own mind up not pay attention to what other people say. Because for me, Star Wars is my favorite franchise of all time. I don't think it's a mess. I think there's some things that they've made that are a mess, and some things that just aren't good. But in general, honestly, like, it's just the fans. I mean, the fans, there's a finite group of fans that no matter what they do, as long as Disney has Star Wars, which they will always have Star Wars for the rest of life, unless they go out of business and have to sell off the stuff, or they just decide to sell off Lucasfilm, they will always have that. They will always have that studio now. So grow up. Not you, but the fan base. Grow up.
All right. Eric Thorpe reviews. Which sequel to a Best Picture nominee do you think has the best chance of also getting nominated for Best Picture, Black Panther 2 or Avatar 2? Remember to ask us this after we see both movies, but as of right now, 1,000% Black Panther 2. And it's not even close. Without having seen one or the other. But that's where I stand. Zach?
I'm going to go Avatar. I'm going to go Avatar. Yep. It's James Cameron. I mean, there's a lot to be honest, if you were to give me 10 right now nominations, I say both of them get fucking nominated. I think this is the first year that I genuinely think this is the first year we're going to see 3 or 4 blockbusters in there. I genuinely think so. I think Top Gun.
So which ones do you think it'll be? Black Panther, Avatar, Top Gun. Okay.
Yep. Everything Everywhere, but I guess that's not technically a blockbuster. It's just weird. It's an action. It's not your typical.
That is the genre of a blockbuster, but I don't think we count it as a block. But good topic of discussion, though. You just opened up those floodgates. That's an interesting topic.
But I definitely think those 3. Like this year's weird. Like for Oscar talk, you know what I mean? Like some of the movies that everyone was predicting either got pushed. Or
Bardo
fucking
pushed down.
Bardo's dead on arrival. Yeah. So, like, if I were to do just top 10, Babylon, Woman Talking, The Whale, Top Gun, Black Panther, Avatar, Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Wow, I don't think it gets nominated whatsoever besides Michelle Yeoh in visual effects.
Dude, I wasn't thinking that for a while,
but editing maybe.
I wasn't thinking it either. But I really think it's coming hard. The Frontier one, the Western Front one.
All Quiet on the Western Front.
Yep, I think that one's for sure. That. I think RRR. I know India didn't. They didn't, but the studio is pushing it from domestically, so it can still get nominated. And I forgot the last one, but I think this is the first year that we're gonna get like some wild fucking takes. But again, that's if these movies are good. I mean, if Black Panther is just okay and good, and Avatar is just okay, I don't think so. Obviously they'll get the visual stuff, but no.
All right, Movie Chappie, what are your thoughts on director Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron not happening? Personally, very disappointed by this news. I was very excited about the Rogue Squadron. Not shocked because it came out the news that she dropped out, that the film has been taken off the release schedule. It's been off for a while. Like I did not understand whatsoever why this was news because we know this. It's been known for quite a while. So yeah, Zach, anything to add?
The second she got indefinitely delayed, I knew it was never being made. So
yeah. Eric Thorpe reviews. Without getting into spoilers, how would you rank the red, purple, and green weddings from Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, or at least which one was your favorite? No need to be careful about spoilers because it's been a week since that episode came out. So if anyone hasn't seen it, mute it right now. But if you haven't seen it up until now, there's no being careful around spoilers. Honestly, and they're all really good, but I will say in last place is the green wedding because the wedding was not the main event. Like that thing wasn't even the wedding itself, was the dinner celebration, and then they had the wedding. So the wedding still happened, all good. The tragedy was before the wedding. So in terms of cataclysmic events happening, that comes in last place. But it's absolutely wonderful. It might be my second favorite. In second place, I'm going to put the purple wedding because it was just amazing to see Joffrey die like a bitch. And of course, number one, it's the red wedding. Like I don't think any of the other colored weddings, whenever they complete the rainbow of weddings, they can beat the red wedding. So that's my ranking. Zach?
Same ranking as you. Same reasons and everything. So.
All right. Also, there was no major character dying in the green wedding. It was a jobber named Joffrey, who got punched so hard his face wasn't even there anymore by the end of it. Eric Thurb reviews, if the 3D is as good for Avatar 2 as it was in the original, do you think it will cause a similar resurgence in 3D? Nope, I don't think so. Because the 3D in Avatar, people liked it in Avatar, the original, but immediately after, it was not working for anyone in anything else. So I don't think that'll help. Unless they find a way of having 3D without glasses. That way, people might get into it. And we know Jimmy Cams wants to do that. I just don't know if he can accomplish it. Zach?
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Do you think if the 3D is as good in Avatar 2 as it was for the original, it will cause a resurgence?
Yeah, that's Hollywood. It's Hollywood, man. They always do. I don't think it'll be a huge resurgence as it was beforehand.
I don't see it happening whatsoever.
But I definitely think in some ways, like certain filmmakers maybe take their crack at it now.
Yeah. Ren, I know you've seen episode 6 of House of the Dragon, so has Zach. So tell me, is Aegon II as much of a little bitch as Joffrey? Because that's the vibe I got from the book, and also from seeing a few seconds of footage of the actor from the trailer for episode 6. By the way, the actor who plays Aegon Targaryen II is the real life son of David Tennant, the 10th Doctor.
Oh, that's cool.
So that's a fun fact for you. Is he as much as a little bitch as Joffrey? Don't want to get into too many spoilers, but I've seen one episode of this dude. If you ask me if he's much as a little bitch as Joffrey compared to the first episode of Game of Thrones, which is the first time we see Joffrey, no, he is a little bitch, but he stands up for himself against a selective adversary. Like he's wise about who he stands up to. Let's say that. Zach?
Same. I mean, Joffrey's like one of the worst characters, so it's hard to compare that.
Joffrey literally gets bitch slapped multiple times in the first episode. Aegon II, he gets embarrassed. I'm not gonna say why. He gets embarrassed, but he's got more of a funk to his step than Joffrey. Yeah.
Fucking Tyrion, the amount of times he fucking slapped him. Oh my god.
Eric Thorpe reviews, any predictions for how characters who didn't survive the first Avatar but are confirmed to be in Avatar 2 will return? Stephen Lang and Sigourney Weaver, at least.
It's already been confirmed.
Not sure if there are others. I'm not sure if there are others either. I have no idea.
It's been confirmed. They're playing new characters, from my understanding. They're playing.
Really?
Yeah, they're playing new Avatar characters. From my understanding, Sigourney Weaver is playing the daughter of the two main characters, and Stephen Lang is playing the one with the backpack, like the dressed up looking blue guy. They're just playing new version, like
that's stupid. Okay, I didn't know.
That's from my understanding. That's what I understood from what I was reading. So,
Scott, what are your thoughts on James Earl Jones officially retiring as the voice of Darth Vader? If it makes any sense because he is it makes sense because he has aged. He is 92, I think. I mean, 45 years he gave us. End of an era. So I'm not emotionally prepared for it, but I'm just glad I was here to live through the days where he did voice Darth Vader. So thank you for your service as Vader, as Mufasa. Thank you for being the greatest villain in cinema history. Zach?
Oh, it's pretty great, man. You know, I'm going to be playing Darth Vader now going forward, so it's pretty nice, you know. Thank you, James.
Congrats on the gig.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, Dominican Scott. If Superman shows up in Black Adam, do you debate? Do you think, I believe you meant, he will be wearing the black suit or the classic red and blue? I think he'll be wearing the classic red and blue because there's already a black suited superhero in that movie, and so you don't want to get too monochromatic. So I'm gonna guess he wears the classic red and blue. Zach?
Black's not canon. The black suit is not canon.
That's true. That's true. Good point. Gico P, at this point, do we take fan bases seriously any more than ever? I never did. I don't care what the fan base in general. Look, I don't care what the fan base thinks for the same reason as I don't care what the number is on Rotten Tomatoes, because I don't care for a general consensus. I care for what Zach specifically thinks. I care for what you specifically think. I care for what Tessa, James, Leo, Manda, Dave. I care for what specific people whose opinions I trust and who I like to discuss with think. But I never care for a general consensus. That's not what what I'm about. That's why I don't care for Rotten Tomatoes. I kind of made a really good correlation there that I'm really proud of. But yeah, I don't care for general consensus. I care for discussing it with you, with Eric, with Lady Aaron, with Dominican Scott, with Eric Thorpe, with anyone joining us. I care for a person-to-person conversation. I don't care for a conglomerate. So yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of the same thing. I don't.
Yeah.
I really just care about what my close circle thinks. I don't really care too much about others, unless it's about Toy Story. Then that's when I get pretty strong about it.
Gico EP, Ren, I know you saw Amsterdam, and I did, but there's a review embargo up until the 4th of October. So on the 1st of October, tune into the channel, and there will be a review up. As of right now, I can only let you know my social media reaction. That's why I didn't rank it. Not making you spoil your thoughts since embargo, but despite all the controversy with David O. Russell right now, rightfully so, do you think he's a bit of a hit and miss or simply lost his touch? Definitely hit and miss. Three Kings, The Fighter, Silver Lining Playbook are great, but American Hustle and Joy were not good. I think American Hustle is good. I think Joy is fine.
Never saw Joy.
I think it's very fine. It's very mundane. It's like there's none of his energy or spunk or identity in that movie. That's what it lost to me. Three Kings I've never seen, but The Fighter is incredible. Silver Linings Playbook is an amazing movie. That movie is fucking perfection. But yeah, I think he's very much hit or miss because like Joy is a case of too little, and I can add to my social media reaction that Amsterdam is a case of too much. That's all I'll say for now. But what do you think? Having not seen Amsterdam, but with all these other movies, what are your thoughts on David O. Russell as a director?
It's funny. I actually really like a lot of his Three Kings. I loved The Fighter. I love Silver Linings Playbook's one of my favorites of all time. Yeah. American Hustle, I really like. I really like American Hustle. I think it's a lot of fun. Was it an Oscar-worthy film? No. Yeah, I have not seen Joy, though, so I can't comment on Joy. Joy, I didn't care. None of the trailers hyped me about it. I didn't care. It looked Oscar baity to me when I first saw the trailer. So I wasn't reviewing content. So it didn't really matter to me to go see it.
All right. Do you think Olivia Wilde's directing career will continue after Don't Worry Darling pretty much being a sophomore slump in terms of critical response and the behind-the-scenes drama? You asked two questions. I'm going to answer the first one immediately. The critical response doesn't matter. If the critical response was all there was, she would be perfectly fine. It's the behind-the-scenes drama that is going to screw her. If her directing career ends here, it's going to be because of the behind-the-scenes drama and everything that happened there. Do you want to agree, disagree, rebuttal?
That's the same thing. Yeah. I don't got anything.
And second question, also, are you nervous for Harry Styles as Eros now after this movie? Honestly, no. Because he was really good in Dunkirk. He's inconsistent in this film. So as of right now, he's 1 for 1 as far as I'm concerned. I will watch My Policeman at LFF. But other than that, I'm not. As long as they get a good director who gives them a proper character to work with, go watch Film Speaks video essay on Don't Worry Darling. He hits a lot of the points that I agree with when it comes to the qualities of the film and to the issues of the film, but particularly when it comes to Jack. A lot of what Griffin tackles in that video has to do with why Harry Styles just wasn't that good. I've heard that he's not that good in My Policeman either, but I haven't seen it. So again, I will wait to make my own judgment on that. Zach?
It's literally the same. I think Eros is a different type of character. It's not going to be as dramatic or as much as dramatically it should be. But I also honestly, Don't Worry Darling doesn't really give him much to work with, if I'm being honest. Like
Exactly.
I like his character is very one-dimensional, and that was actually one of my biggest issues with the film is that the twist in the movie centers around a lot of characters and around a lot of stuff, and they do not touch on that all too much. It's just, oh, okay. Okay. They should have given more detail to that.
Does Eric Thorpe, does all the hype from House of the Dragon make either of you consider going to the first official Game of Thrones convention in LA in December? Just got my tickets. It'll be my first big solo trip. Kit Harington is going to be there, among others. No, because I had no idea that was happening, but honestly, I couldn't afford it either. And it's just one of those things. I don't know if that's like my fandom. I love this show. I love Game of Thrones. I love the books, but I don't know. It's not a fandom that I want to immerse myself in. Like Star Wars Celebration, if there was a Marvel convention, I want to live and breathe those two franchises. For example, Game of Thrones is not one. Like, I really love watching these shows. I really love talking about them, but I don't know. At the end of the day, the biggest reason I'm not going is because I couldn't possibly afford it. Plus, it's December. My worry there is going back home for Christmas and for New Year's. So yeah, among other stuff, this December. So yeah, Zach?
I don't care. I don't care to go. I'm not huge on conventions. And to be honest, is this even put on by Warner Brothers? If it's not, then no.
All right. All right. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's start going rapid fire. I was going to ask Zach this last week, but how disappointed were you that Better Call Saul didn't win anything at the Emmys, losing to Succession for Best Drama, Bob Odenkirk losing for Best Actor to the guy from Squid Game, Rhea Seehorn losing to Julia Garner from Ozark? Zach?
Julia Garner deserved Ozark, just so everyone knows. Laura Linney, it's a fucking shame she never even won a single thing for Ozark, just as a point of mention. I was disappointed until I heard that they're still qualifying for next year because of the last 6 episodes. So those last 6 episodes are some of the best acting, so that's where I think next year they're gonna get rewarded for it.
Is 2022 so far the most disappointing years for movies, despite some great movies, The Batman, Top Gun, Everything Everywhere? There's been some real letdowns. Don't Worry Darling for a lot of people, Marvel content, Lightyear for some. I guess you can say Jurassic World Dominion was disappointing because they could have stuck to what Fallen Kingdom set up. It's true. I don't know. Maybe it reminds me of 2016, where a lot of franchise content, where a lot of big IPs, where a lot of big name movies were disappointed. But then if you look for the real small stuff around Oscar season, most of them, like 90% of them, were absolute all-time bangers. This year is kind of the same. There's more of the blockbuster stuff, and so it disappoints a lot of people. But I like Don't Worry Darling. I personally love Love and Thunder. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is really good. Lightyear is really good. But yeah, Jurassic World Dominion was disappointing. Blonde was disappointing. I was genuinely excited to watch that. The less I say about that, the better. So yeah, you do have a lot of that, but I think it's just the year itself is just the biggest disappointment if you only look at the big franchise stuff. So yeah, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, yeah. But that's like every year. I think since COVID, a lot of that's kind of happened. I think next year's gonna be the year to really testament for some of these movies.
Yeah. Jacob P, I know the answer. I know I answered the question, but I think I was out of the room for it, or I don't remember the answer. But can I watch House of the Dragon without seeing Game of Thrones? Absolutely. It's a prequel. They talk about stuff that happens in Game of Thrones, like not necessarily even that happens, but that Game of Thrones calls back to because it happened years ago, and now you see it happening in House of the Dragon. But like, you don't miss anything.
In fact, it'll probably add to your experience. Like after the first season.
Yeah, once you watch Game of Thrones, you're probably going to see all the callbacks as stuff that you actually watched. You know, so feel free to watch House of the Dragon without seeing Game of Thrones. If Superman does appear in Black Adams, will you be convinced the Snyderverse is restored? Nope. I mean, depends. If he shows up with a black and with a red and blue suit, no. If the Snyderverse is restored, doesn't mean they're going back to what the original plans were for DC. It's leading to Justice League sequels, but it's not. They've fully talked about how that is. How
about we see the Flash? Let's see the Flash first and see.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the film that's going to change stuff. So let's see the Flash if that actually comes out. So
all right. PlayStation 5 is reportedly getting a new design. What are your thoughts? I mean, no thoughts. I already got mine, so I'm not going to buy a new one. Yeah. Zach?
I mean, they always give new designs, so I don't really care if it's smaller and it runs better. Maybe I would consider selling mine and getting it, but you got to weigh those pros and cons. Do you really need it?
Yeah, exactly. WC Scott, Jurassic World Dominion officially hit $1 billion. Zero thoughts after Top Gun 2 came out. The same as the one was before Top Gun 2 came out, and that is that the movie is very disappointing, and I'm indifferent. That was the first question today, I believe. Yeah, so I mean, I don't care because I don't care about the movie. I just got Elvis on Blu-ray. Can't wait to see the movie as I haven't watched yet. And it's good to see you again, Zach, as I missed you last week. Did you guys get any new physical media grabs in terms of DVDs for movies, CDs for music? And if so, what did you get recently? I don't buy physical CDs for music. I haven't gotten anything new in terms of Blu-rayers or anything, but there might be something coming that you guys might be interested in. Well, if you're not from the UK, you might not be interested in, but still, stick around for some news soon, hopefully. Zach?
Nope, I haven't bought anything. Try and save money.
All right. John and Ghost. Who had more honor, Ned Stark or Aragorn? That's...
Tie.
In Lord of the Rings, the person I associate with honor is Boromir. Not that Aragorn doesn't have honor, don't get me wrong, but I might go Ned Stark here because Ned Stark literally kills himself for his honor. Gets himself killed at least for his honor. Zach?
I'll just say they're tied.
They're tied. All right. Last question from Geek. Favorite reference in any movie or show? Recently, I saw a clip from Topher Grace's show's Home Economics where they're at Disneyland and they're at Avengers Campus taking pictures, and his brother asks Topher Grace's character, "Hey, you want to take a picture with Spider-Man?" And Topher's like, "Nah, not a fan." That's really tough. I don't like nothing.
It's too much. Yeah, I'd have to sit and think.
Yeah, I have to sit and think. I'd have to see like a list off the top of my head because other than that, it's a really good question, and I'm sure I have a ton of stuff here in my head, but right now nothing like concrete is clicking, unfortunately. So it's a bummer that we have to end that way because I didn't remember anything. But all right, and that is it for this week's This Week in Geek. And guys, we have a packed week. LFF is starting, so this week I have House of the Dragon episode 6, Smile, The Woman King, and/or episode 4. Triangle of Sadness, Emily the Criminal, and Causeway, all coming this week ahead of LFF and ahead of next week's episode of This Week in Geek. So it's a packed week. And of course, She-Hulk episode 7. So go watch this week's stuff. Athena, She-Hulk episode 6, Endors 1 through 3, House of the Dragon episode 5. So much stuff is coming, and I cannot wait to get LFF started. Zach, what do you got coming up, and what can people find you?
Just more TV reviews. Smile as well. I'm finally seeing that. But yeah, that's about it for this week. Just the same TV reviews and whatnot. Oh, and I'm starting a new series on Monday or Tuesday where I do it on the video game channel where I revisit a game and I say like Mass Effect Andromeda in 2021. But now it's 2022. So I'm going to be doing one called Avatar in 2022. And I'm going to discuss, visual effects, things like that. My feelings, have they changed? Have they not? And I'm going to be doing this for a revisit. So I have this one coming up. I have Rogue One coming up. This will be kind of my way of being able to react to things I either haven't watched in forever or being able to react to things I've never seen, like Black Swan, which I plan on finally watching before The Whale. So.
All right. You're in for a treat then. And that is it for this week in Geek, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us, all my friends. Thank you so much to Eric Thorpe Reviews. Thank you so much to Apists for their support of the channel. And thanks to our channel members, Juan Moreno, Nate Ankenbauer, MSB, and Film Bruno for supporting the channel. And remember, there's still a discount for you to get your movie palette with the discount code REN15, REN15. Use it on the site to get your own movie palette. Support them, and you'll be supporting me. Thank you so much once more, everyone. We'll see you very soon. And until the next one, love each other and love the movies. Bye-bye.